Namaste everyone, welcome back. In the previous video, we started to discuss about twists. As in, we used Bharadwajasana as an example to see how the pelvis needs to be aligned, where aligning the pelvis is not just a gross push towards the backside, but is an articulation of the hip, establishing firmness in the back leg, using which we are able to create a harmonious rotation where the ring of the diaphragm sits over the ring of the pelvis and the twist itself happens in such a way that the extension and the expansion and the rotation are equally distributed and not distorted. In today's class or today's discussion, we'll see parivrtta trikonasana to facilitate another point of discussion. Now, whenever we talk about twists, 3 points we should always bear in mind. When we do a twist, the aspect of maintaining a spinal extension, very important, should not be compromised. Second is horizontal expansion. To describe that, let us understand it in this sense. Suppose I decide to take a center partition in my hair. Then from the center partition, I will comb the strands to the right of the partition to the right side and left of the partition to the left side. Similar to how you see a banana leaf or the stem of a leaf, you have the main stems and then the veins running right to right and left to left. This creates a certain horizontal opening. That expansion should happen. The third is to create a radial rotation, that is a circular circumferential rotation. For this, we should understand how a twist differs from a turn. When I decide to turn, I don't have a point of fixture at all. My entire body, which is now facing north, will then face east and then face south, etc. There will be a full turn, right? But in a twist, we have to establishing a point of rooting, a point of fixture upon which or using which, anchoring which, we are then able to establish a rotation. So finding that point of fixture is almost the brain of a twist because that maintains stability while mobilizing a twist, and without that stability, you would not have a point of rooting. So in every twist or in every asana which comprises of a twist, you need to establish that point of anchoring or that point of rooting. For example, in Virasana, the hip is very stable. The two shin bones are very stable. So holding every part of the shin bone firm and holding the hip firm, we are then able to articulate a rotation. In Bharadwajasana, the back hip and the back shin, the leg that comes on top, that back leg needs to be held very firmly, the toes holding the shin down, the outer hip articulated down. Upon that fixture, we are able to create a rotation. In parivrtta trikonasana, the firmness of the shin, the inner edge, that is the big toe edge of the front leg and the little toe edge of the back leg hold the firmness as we are able to create a rotation. Now, what is this rotation? We have to think of it in this manner. So, down the center of the spine, where we have the spinal canal, that forms the center of the spine, from where we have the right and left processes of every vertebrae, which then further broaden out to the right and left edges of the body. If I think that I'm turning a vehicle or driving, I'm using a steering to turn my car, then by turning the steering, the entire car turns. It's not that just a part of the vehicle turns, the entire car turns. And how does it turn? When I hold my steering, let's say I hold it top and bottom or front and back. The part that is in front spreads out to the back and the part that's at the back spreads out to the front such that the outer edges of the body are rotated. The outer edges rotate to actually rotate or churn that central spindle. The churning action was described in the previous Bharadwajasana video, how that center spindle will create an absolute turn, a churning action using the peripheral body. So this concept of a twist, where how we create an extension, horizontal expansion, radial rotation, all finding that rooting or anchor of the pose must be understood. To do that, in the context of parivrtta trikonasana, we will discuss further. Now, I will show that to you in two angles. For parivrtta trikonasana, we open our legs apart. When we open our legs apart, we turn our left foot, that is our back leg foot in and the right foot out. Now, as the foot turns in, our hip is supposed to turn. That is, the action is not turning the foot out, turning the foot in, and then turning the hip. As the right foot turns out and left foot turns in, I am able to create that, I am able to steer my hip. When I steer my hip, what is at the back rotates forward, and what is in the front rotates backward. That is, the left hip will roll forward and the right hip will roll back. But it's also important to understand the aspect of allowing the back leg hip to come forward should be understood in the concept of ripples. I know that there is a lot to think about, but really, in order to be able to successfully understand yoga, one must take time to observe nature, because Mother Nature has everything to teach us. Now, if you see the structure of the back leg, the crease of the buttock is a horizontal bifurcation from in to out, which has the same design through the length of the leg, through the back knee, through the back calf, all the way until the back heel. And why I say it's like a ripple is, if I drop a stone in water, you will find a small circumference which gradually dilates to bigger and bigger circumferences. Like that, the heel being the small circumference gradually dilates to bigger and bigger circles, but all having the same pattern through the back leg. So when we do trikonasana, parivrtta trikonasana, parshvottanasana, anything that involves turning the hip, we take our left foot in, right foot out, and open every one of these rings from in to out. So starting from the crease of the buttock, speaking the same language, ring after ring, ripple after ripple through the back thigh, going until the back heel, this opening in to out should release the left hip forward, and in the front leg, pressing the inner edge of the foot and really trying to integrate the femur into the socket, we draw our right hip back. Here, the tip of the tailbone, which has a nutation backward, that is a backward protrusion, has to be pulled into the body, and then we create a point of stability. So this is the turning forward. In parivrtta trikonasana, this action is established through an elongation, through an extension of the spine. So when we jump, open our leg apart, I'm taking my right hand on the waist, and when I decide to turn, my hand has a throw, as if you throw a discus, you know, the sport javelin discus, as if you throw a discus, and the spinal energy really extends through that throw. So that is the way we go. And when we reach, I'm really not in a hurry to take my hand down, I extend forward. I extend forward, constantly judging the anchoring of my back leg, outer foot, anchoring of my front leg, inner foot, and elongation of the spine. When I take my hand down, comes the partition. I'm viewing the central midline of the spine. From there, I'm able to view how the front of my chest, that is the frontal ribs, the frontal right ribs, are able to spread from center to side, and the back left ribs are able to spread from center to side. So this is where I talked about that hair partition or the leaf-like structure. From the center of the spine, we are able to see how we can rotate the front of the right ribs from center to side, back of the left ribs from center to side to create that rotation. Now, after we create the rotation, the third aspect, which involves the radial turn, where the entire body turns, that I will show you using a rope wall now.